Shri Suryakant Tripathi Nirala. Very nice. You sang very well. Thank you. Now I will read a brief biographical note. Now I will read a brief biographical note of Vice Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi. After that, he will address us. So listen to the introduction carefully. Vice Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi, AVSM and NM. Son of late Shri Muni Kumar Tripathi, Vice Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi, AVSM and NM, comes from Mahudar, a village near Bela, Rewa, Madhya Pradesh. He has done his schooling from Sainik School, Rewa. Along with the whole nation, Rewa is particularly proud of him. He graduated from the National Defence Academy, Pune. He has completed the staff course at Defence Services Staff College in Wellington Cantonment, where the Thimaiya Medal, the higher command course at the Naval War College, Goa. He has also attended the Naval War College, Newport, Rhode Island, United States of America, where he was awarded the Robert E. Bateman International Prize. Vice Admiral Tripathi is a specialist in communication and electronic warfare. On promotion to flag rank, Admiral Tripathi took over as the Assistant Chief of Naval Staff, Policy and Plans at Naval Headquarters. He then assumed the office of Flag Officer commanding Eastern Fleet on 15th January 2018. For his command of the Eastern Fleet, Vice Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi was awarded the Ati Vishisht Seva Medal on 26th January 2019. On 12th June 2019, on promotion to the rank of Vice Admiral, he took over as the Commandant of Indian Naval Academy, Azimala, Kerala. Under him, the INA was presented with the President's Color on 20th November 2019. He was the Director General of Naval Operations from 29th July 2020 to 31st May 2021, a period that witnessed a very high tempo of naval and maritime operations. He ensured that Navy remained a combat-ready, cohesive, credible force, ready to tackle security challenges in the wake of situation on the LSC in Western Arabian Sea, Gulf region, and other hotspots, despite all-round severity of COVID pandemic. He assumed the charge of Chief of Personnel on 1st June 2021. Vice Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi is married to Mrs. Shashi Tripathi, who is an accomplished artist, a painter. They have a son, Divyam Tripathi, who is a lawyer in Delhi. For our own Vice Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi, we can joyously say that the boy from Mahudar has arrived. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for that effusive introduction. It is indeed an honor. Professor Rajkumar Acharya, Vice Chancellor of APS University, Professor Shubha Tiwari, Professor English, and the Dean of Faculty of Arts, other esteemed faculty of the university, research scholars, all participants in the webinar from wherever you are, ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you. मैं आप सबका नई दिल्ली से अभिनंदन करता हूँ. As I said, it's truly an honor to be with you today I am especially delighted because I belong to RIVA, as Professor Tiwari alluded, and also get an opportunity to speak to this diverse gathering of admissions and Faculty of Higher Education from universities and colleges, largely from the heart of India, and that is Madhya Pradesh. Being proud alumni of St. Sulliva actually adds to the occasion for me. I started my professional military career about 4 decades ago, precisely in 1981, when I joined the National Defence Academy, and it all started from RIVA. So it is a sort of homecoming, and one carries a lot of cherished memories of this school, as also the ambience of RIVA. RIVA of today is not the same what it was in early 70s and 80s. It has grown manifold, and what we always thought when we were students that we lacked in terms of exposure, in terms of infrastructure, I think that is because of this prevalence of the social media and the technology which is there. That is all gone, and you could be sitting anywhere and you are connected, or rather interconnected to the entire world at the click of a mouse. So that the world has actually changed, and it is for the good. And I'm very happy that RIVA now is fully integrated to wherever one wants to. It's all in our minds as to where we want to go. Now, today I shall speak on this topic which has been given to me: career in the armed forces, love for the nation, and the new education policy 2020. Now, they are all under 3 different threads, but in a way they are all interconnected. So I'll try and do justice to that. I intend to break down my introduction into 3 parts. Firstly, as I said, I'll speak about the career in the armed forces. Thereafter, I'll speak on what, in my view, constitutes love for the nation, with emphasis on the Indian military's contribution to nation building. I am fully convinced that it is not only the preserve of Indian military for nation building. All of us, all Indians are doing that, but I will restrict myself to a domain where I know a little bit more. And finally, the perspective of as a senior military leader, what I feel the faculty in institutions of higher learning, education, training, such as yourself, can do to realize our government's vision of transforming the education. In fact, the education system in India, as per the National Education Policy 2020. So to begin with, you would all appreciate that a career in the armed forces is one of the most respected professions in the country. And this has been proven by many surveys. The military always figures in the top echelons, one of the top echelons. Reasons could be many, which is a subject in itself. तो आज अगर आप किसी भी सर्विंग या रिटायर्ड ऑफिसर, सेलर, जवान और एयरमैन किसी से पूछेंगे कि what he or she, women are there in all fields, did to make his or her life worthwhile, तो वो बड़े गर्व और सेटिस्फेक्शन से कहेंगे, मेरा मानना है कि I served in the Indian Armed Forces. And there is a distinct sense of pride in all those who wear the uniform. The Indian Armed Forces, as you would know, it is, like I said, the technology has enabled that. It offers a challenging and rewarding career to young adventurous men and women who seek to become officers and, more importantly, leaders of talented and committed professionals. In fact, a career in the armed forces is not just another job or a career in that sense. It is a way of life. And this is not only, I'm not talking just for the sake of it, it indeed is. As an armed forces officer, one has the unique privilege of being part of highly motivated and professional force with opportunities of acquiring higher academic qualifications and along the way, assuming important responsibilities in command and staff positions. The armed forces offer challenging work opportunities and operate in highly technology-intensive environment these days, which provides multifarious avenues to professionals from all streams to pursue innovation and excellence. ये कहना काफी होगा कि with a career in the armed forces, one gets more than just a job, as I said earlier. जब आप नेवी व्हाइट्स जैसे मैंने पहन रखी है या आर्मी ऑलिव्स या एयरफोर्स ब्लूज को पहनते हैं, then you automatically command respect and dignity in society. Not only in India, but I have observed that whenever I visited any foreign country, and you suppose you are moving around in a hotel or anywhere else in your uniform, a common citizen of that country stops and acknowledges your contribution. So that is the level which the armed forces operate. राष्ट्रीय सुरक्षा और देश की सर्विस में हमेशा तैयार. A career in the armed forces is anchored on the three foundational core values of duty, honor, and courage, and a rich legacy and tradition of sacrifice, valor, professionalism, and ethics. Young men and women who join the armed forces serve the nation in a selfless manner, fervently seeing their values as higher than those of the mainstream society. And that is highly important because that is one of the motivational factors for the young men and women to join something special. I can give a household names of some brave soldiers, veterans, and who actually sailors, airmen who were killed in action, such as you would know the Second Lieutenant Arun Khetrapal in the 1971 Indo-Pakistan War, a young man just out of National Defence Academy, and then he did the supreme sacrifice for the cause of the nation. Captain Vikram Batra, recently a Bollywood movie has been made on his life, which happened in the Kargil War. Major Sandeep Unikrishnan, you will remember, he did valiantly in the Taj Hotel during the 26/11 Mumbai attacks. I believe there is another, feature film being considered on his life. And our own Navy's Captain Mahendranath Mulla, Mahavir Chak, who displayed exemplary courage, selflessness, wherein he, while his ship was, sitting in water on 9 December 1971 in the Western Seaboard during the Indo-Pakistan War, he decided that unless every sailor or officer goes out of the ship and reaches to safety, he is not going to leave the ship. And unfortunately, he couldn't leave, and he went down with the ship. So that is the kind of, these warriors exemplify supreme sacrifice, devotion to duty in defending the nation, and also exemplify the values enshrined in our country's constitution. Personally, for me, perhaps the greatest reward of my nearly 4 decades of military service, out of which about 36 has been in the whites, balance has been in the training, etc., has been the opportunity to groom, mentor, recognize, and command a diverse group of so-called uncommon men and women who, when India is threatened by external aggression, and nations invariably do, and we have been, will come to the forefront, command their ships and fleets and battalions and air squadrons with conviction and utmost devotion, and lead the Indian armed forces and the nation to victory. And that has been very satisfying. With these thoughts, I now move to the second part of my talk, in which I will highlight some granular details regarding what is military's contribution to nation building and love for the nation. You must have heard of Mr. Ben Parker, the uncle of Peter Parker, better known as the Spider-Man, original Spider-Man, who bestowed some sage advice on his nephew, who had tremendous power. And in this motion picture, he says, with great power comes great responsibility, unquote. So in that context, with great power, the Indian Armed Forces indeed has great responsibility towards nation building. The Indian military has contributed significantly to enhance the comprehensive national power of India, as I had said earlier, since our independence in 1947. जैसा कि आपको सबको मालूम होगा, the armed forces had a historical role and very critical role in the integration of post-independence India. Our forces carried out swift military operations at Junagadh, Hyderabad, Jammu and Kashmir, Goa, Daman and Diu, to include them rightfully with the Union of India in the days, months and years after independence. This went on till 1961. In addition, in the military role, the armed forces have jointly protected and preserved India's territorial sovereignty in a war with China in 1962, and then with Pakistan in 1965, 1971, and of course in the Kargil War of 1999. India is a huge country, बहुत बड़ा देश है. And it is often the soldier of the Indian Army, sailor of the Indian Navy, and the airman of the Indian Air Force who largely establishes the first contact with remote border areas and island territories, and thereafter furthers the development, growth, and prosperity of these remote locations, of course, by the relevant government agencies. This has been demonstrated a number of times. I will not dwell on those. Now, the example of these, we call them benign operations or benign tasks by the armed forces, because that is not our main task. Our main task is territorial integrity of the country and go and win the war if it is thrust on us. But benign tasks like these by our armed forces include the humanitarian aid during natural disasters such as floods, disaster relief after, say, an earthquake or the tsunami. We can't forget what happened after 2004 December tsunami. Search and rescue, both over land and at sea. If I were to highlight one recent example, which is the search and rescue operations by the Indian Navy for this unfortunate sinking of barge P305 of Mumbai High, 35 nautical miles from Mumbai in May of this year, during a severe cyclonic storm, I think come vividly to my mind and also, I'm sure, to the nation's mind. Also, the armed forces induct personnel on the basis of proportional regional representation. This is largely for the Jawans and the sailors, with nil reservations on the basis of class, caste, creed, or religion. Therefore, the services, the armed forces services, represent a microcosm of the ideal Indian society as enshrined in the Constitution of India. और फिर हर साल तकरीबन 1 लाख ऑफिसर, सेलर्स, सैनिक, एयरमैन रिटायर होते हैं, ऑलमोस्ट 1 लाख दे रिटायर, और वो एक मल्टी डिसिप्लिनरी, फिजिकली फिट एंड डिसिप्लिन वर्कफोर्स बनाते हैं जो ना केवल देश के प्रोग्रेस में कंट्रीब्यूट करता है, बट ऑल्सो कैरी विद देम द ethos of patriotism, secularism, integrity, and unity in diversity. So that is a net gain to the society. Now, what more can constitute love for the nation? In my opinion, the most ardent ambition of real men and women since time immemorial has been to serve their country regardless of their size, importance, or efficiency. This desire has been the underlying motive for the Indian finest actions in history, and that is true for Indian armed forces as well. India is also blessed with social pluralism, diversity, and a talented workforce. Integration, therefore, of all that constitutes an important component of love for the nation. और यहाँ पर मैं थोड़ा उसमें एपिक्स में जाऊंगा, हमारे जो है महाभारत और पांडवा के बारे में बात करूंगा कि उन्होंने क्या किया था इंटीग्रेशन के लिए, क्या एग्जाम्पल उन्होंने प्रोड्यूस किया था. The born of different mothers and each with a complex paternal origin, the Pandavas functions very well as a team to overcome internal tensions. That is true. They had complementary skills. Everybody didn't know everything. They had complementary skill sets that make the combination particularly effective. As a model, the Pandavas should inspire all of us for greater deliberation on the difficulties of working together efficiently. And thus, love for the nation will also demand from all of us building better capabilities, breaking silos, and working together to realize the dream of a great India. And that is happening, indeed happening. With that, I come to the last part of my talk, during which I will share some thoughts on what you all, as an extremely qualified and motivated group of faculty engaged in higher education, do to realize our Honorable Prime Minister's vision in the National Education Policy 2020. Now, I am not a master in this. You know it more than me, but nonetheless, since you have given me an opportunity, I will say my say. After more than 3 decades, the Indian education system is under the cusp of massive transformation. That is my understanding. Basing itself on the pillars of accessibility, affordability, equity, and equality, this new education policy 2020 aims to overhaul our education landscape for the greater good of our children. With far-reaching policy recommendations, it has given us a roadmap for the future. This policy aims to foster equal impetus to development of cognitive capabilities, as also social, ethical, and emotional dispositions. Now, said in other words, development of IQ and EQ with an aim to eliminate silos and separation between arts and science, extracurricular and co-curricular, and between vocational and academic streams. I don't know how far we will be successful, but that is the aim of the new policy, one of the aims. The policy also aims to overhaul the higher education by replacing fragmented educational institutions with multidisciplinary universities. Indeed, the policy is at the very cusp of transformation, as I said earlier, which will play a crucial role in nation building and creating a new India. That is our hope, and that is, I think, the vision of the government. यहाँ पर मैं आपके समक्ष 3 विषयों के बारे में बात करना चाहूँगा that can help us and you to improve the education at this, especially at the university we are talking about, as also other educational institutions that you represent, and which will help your students to grow and blossom personally and professionally. The first issue is related to the new order of education. Now, technology has enabled institutes, educators, and students to rethink the future of learning and education. And I think the COVID-19 has proven it amply. Even as technological innovation and solutions need to progress in education, concerns about digital inequality, educator workforce training, and result-oriented tech advancements will continue to rise. So under these circumstances, it is essential that technology is utilized to make education more accessible and facilitate a better teaching learning process. This will lead to the wholesome development of the society. The second issue is about the broad-based liberal education, in which students must be encouraged to pursue elective programs of their interest alongside a more rigorous technical curriculum. I know in the Navy also now we are taking only technical entries, BTech entries. We train them, we give them training for 4 years, but we are aware that it is not only about technology. And when we talk about leadership and leaders, there is an element of this broad-based liberal education. Most professions today, and that includes the military, are highly technically oriented. It is a fact. So unlike in the era before the NEP 2020, today aspiring students should have the option to pursue liberal education alongside the rigmarole of their technical pursuits. Now that how it has to be done, you know it better. We need to enable students to also pursue liberal subjects such as humanities, philosophy, leadership, or say English literature, where questions may not have any specific answers, or there is something called as right or wrong, prerogative. It is all, everything can be right, everything can be wrong. It is just question of where you stand. Now, electives by professors in their areas of research or interest will be a good way to begin liberal, broad-based education and live up to NEP's vision of supplementary enrichment and guidance by forming topic-centered and project-based groups and circles. This is what we think. And the third and the final issue is the importance of being a good coach, good mentor, who focuses on making students better than their best selves. I repeat, which focuses on making students better than their best selves, rather than competing on being better than others. Effective coaching के 3 पहलू हैं. I love coaching, and luckily I have been in some appointments where I had been given this responsibility. पहला है observing, दूसरा है instructing, और तीसरा है inspiring. Coming back to महाभारत, भगवान श्री कृष्ण ने अर्जुन की लीडरशिप एबिलिटीज को द्रौपद के साथ युद्ध, लौह ग्रह के जलने के दौरान और द्रौपदी स्वयंवर में ऑब्जर्व किया. उसके बाद अर्जुन को इंस्ट्रक्ट किया और गाइड किया so that Arjun could overcome his fears and focuses on becoming the superlative leader that he could become. Finally, inspired by Lord Krishna, as you would know, Arjun established a model town Indraprasth from a barren land, which very soon became more popular than Hastinapur. Such can be influence of a good coach who can help a student to reach his or her potential and not allow it to stagnate at current levels of performance. A linked issue is that as coaches, we must all mentor students to expand their ability to handle failure. It's a big problem, and it's going to become bigger in the days and months and years ahead. That is a challenge of education, because it is not so much of a problem to handle success. That also requires some kind of a mentoring. But how to handle failure is a real challenge for all of us. I believe that the hardest lesson of life to learn is, and I quote, "Life is not fair," unquote. And this is not a negative thought process. This is a pragmatic thought process. Today, the statement that life is not fair may draw ridicule, but it has nevertheless remained true from the times of Mahabharata again, when Lord Krishna advised Arjun to focus on karma and worry little on the outcomes. Kaam karo, phal ki ichha mat karo. And nothing comes easy. In that context, I am saying life is not fair. You have to work hard. After working hard also, you have to forget about the results. And as life is not fair, it is our duty as faculty and teachers to promote the importance of self-belief in every student, which, I will use a military term here, which is a force multiplier and motivates a person to stay the course and not quit when things don't go your way. That is a challenge. And that is an opportunity also, I think, for all the educators. So to summarize, ladies and gentlemen, I think my time is up. Professor Shubha is looking at her watch. My aim today was threefold. First, to bring to your notice, you've been very kind to give me the time, the opportunities of a career in the armed forces. The next was to share with you what, in my view, constitutes as love for the nation. All of us are on the same page, whether in the military or not in the military, in the civil street. And the military's role, especially in nation building. That certainly I am more, I think, au fait to share with you. And finally, what I feel can be done by the faculty and educators and thinkers and the researchers and the planners, all of us, to bolster higher education engagement with your students in order to realize the vision enshrined in the National Education Policy 2020. My final words would be, your life as educationalists ahead is full of promises, opportunities, but also challenges. I wish you greater laurels, much success, and all the luck in your endeavors. Once again, I would like to thank Professor Acharya, Vice Chancellor of the University, and the esteemed faculty and staff of the university for giving me the honor and opportunity to be part of this webinar. I also thank all the web people who are joined in the web for listening to me. I can only wish you all the best. Take care against the COVID. The COVID is not over. The nation is fighting against it. The humanity is fighting against it. And we need to follow the protocols as promulgated by the government. Thank you very much once again. Jai Hind.
Thank you, Vice Admiral Dinesh Kumar Tripathi ji. Thank you very much for your address. You have spoken about the career in the armed forces. It is one of the most respected professions, and it has a very distinct sense of pride. It's not just another job. It's a way of life. Whether in India or in foreign countries, it is distinctly respected. The duty, honor, and courage. These are the three things that make this profession different from others. And people in the armed forces have a higher sense of values than mainstream society. You have given various examples like Vikram Batra, Mahendranath Bulla, and he saw to it, Mahendranath, the brave sailor, he saw to it that everybody goes out, and before him, and unfortunately, he could not make it. In the second part, you have spoken about power and responsibility. Great responsibility comes with great power, as Peter Parker's father told him. And you have spoken about the historical role of Indian Army in integrating the nation. It went on till 1961.